up, guys? We are live here at Pro Play Games with top 8 competitor from our World Martial Arts $1,000 tournament, Matt Bovarnik, and he was playing the new SS3, Soul Striker.
Or should we say the old SS3?
The old SS3, yeah, there we go. The fair-ish, maybe he's unfair already, who knows? How was he for you today?
He ran pretty smooth. You know, it's obviously not quite the same as SS3 because on the awakened side, or on the unawakened side, you only untap one, and then on the back side you untap two. But it's cool because it lets you gain advantage quick still. Because early in the game, you don't necessarily, you know, the flute's down to 1, so you don't necessarily have to worry about the blue-yellow decks being so consistent at killing you that early. So it lets you play more 1-drops, and it lets you get advantage early. And then, you know, the later it gets into the game, the more it becomes more like SS3, where, okay, let me play this, and then swing, untap, and, you know, pass from there.
Alright, let's check it out, man.
Alright, well, start off here. 1-drops are very important in this deck. This 1-drop is definitely really good. This is the new Pan from World Tournament. She's basically a blue Kaba or Trunks, you know. The only difference is, you know, Kaba gets double strike, Trunks gets crit, and what she does is basically just flutes herself back to your hand. You know, it's obviously not as powerful as Flute, because you can't drop multiple in the same turn, but it's good because it lets you protect her. It's a way of self-awakening, and unlike the Kabas and Trunks, where if you don't have the Flute, you have to actually defend it or hope you have another one, this one just comes right back to your hand and instant defense, no worrying about it. Next, we got your generic 1-drop draw cards here. 4 Majin Boos, because he's blue, and so you definitely want a lot of blue energy. And then 3 Cronoa, just because, you know, another 1-drop draw card. And, you know, if you happen to be going against a yellow deck, which the new Jackie Chun leader could see some momentum, and they might want to use Shugesh, instant turn off. You know, a lot of people think that Shugesh might surprise people turn 1 and you side this in, but it's main boarded here just because, you know, draw card. And next we got Senzu Bean, pretty much a staple in any deck that runs blue. Insanely good card, especially defensively. You know, just a deck that, like I said, if you're running blue, you run Senzu Bean. And then 2 Weesis Coercions. In this format, it doesn't seem like you need a lot of negates so much as negates at the right time. So it's definitely important to have them in the deck. But, you know, with all the 1-drops that you have in the deck too, that's a bunch of extra combo power that you have, and it's usually pretty easy to just out-combo your opponent. You know, obviously I played against a Hirudegarn mono blue deck that was just, you know, insane draw power, and it was super hard to out-combo. I ended up winning, but, you know, that deck probably gave me the most trouble. And then,
if you want to check that deck out, by the way, it's on the Patreon. Make sure you guys check it out. Jonathan Rodriguez, once again.
Yeah.
But Flute, RIP.
Down to 1.
But we're still playing it. We're still jamming it.
Absolutely. It's just way too plus not to play the 1-of. There's so many things that you can do with it. You know, you can, let's say you play a Majin Buu turn 1, you can flute it back to your hand, swing with leader, untap the energy, play him again. Same thing with Cronoa, and then, you know, it lets you protect your Raging Spirit Gohans, which we'll see later in the profile. And those guys are huge defensively, free body on board, 10k combo. And then this lets you can swing with it and then flute it back to your hand and use it as defense again. You know, of course, your super combos. Every deck needs super combos. Boost attack Piccolo for this one, and then Adult Cost Vegeta. I run 3. He's not that important of a card in the deck, although after playing it, I might want to try and see if I can find some room to bump him up to 4. The only thing that I don't like is just, you know, there's ways to awaken quicker, and the quicker you awaken, the more energy you can untap with your leader. And obviously he's a Starter Coup is a draw 2 leader, which is nice. because he already untaps with his effect. So, but this guy is definitely great later in games. If you're going for the final push, he's a triple striker. If there's a blocker on board, you can kill it with his effect if you're at 5 energy. And then worst case scenario, if you get to turn 4 and you don't have another play, even if you're already awakened, you can just play him, and he's basically a 3-mana 20k that draws you a card. Definitely a good card, and definitely something I want to see if I can explore adding a 4th to the deck. And then I had 2 Mafuba. Mafuba's a lot harder to play now without SS3 because you only untap 2 energy. So if you want to use Mafuba, that's all your energy. But I still felt it was important to put in the deck because against certain combo decks, like for example the Buhan deck that was going around with Andrew Duvall, that deck, Mafuba's really one of the only very few answers to it because you can just Mafuba the Boo and that's it. They can't go on anymore with their chain. And then Tapion is another guy that I run 3 of. Just it's a nice round number of 10 total awakening cards that I have. The benefits with him is not only fixing your opponent's draw, you can play him a turn earlier than Vegeta, even though they come out to the same mana cost. Because Vegeta untaps 1, you still have to actually have the 4 energy for Vegeta. Whereas Tapion, you can just summon him, take the life, fix your opponent's draw, and then awaken, swing with leader, and untap 2 of the energy. So you basically just awaken for 1. And now, a card that's pretty much a mid-range / control staple is the awe-inspiring Vegito. He's really good, gets barrier when he swings. If you play him when you're at 5 energy, you draw a card, which is, it's great that he replaces himself. And then, of course, as you all know, your opponent can't attack your leader when he's out on the field. The only thing it was really weak to was the Jackie Chun decks, because he gains 5k when he swings, and you can't combo on that attack. So unless you have enough Senzu beans to get past it, there's nothing you can do when he dies. Next, there's Piccolo the Strategist, Dash Pack Piccolo. He's good because he's a barrier crit, and then lets you kill anything that's your energy or less. So if you play him on curve on turn 4, then you get to just pop anything that's 4 or less that might be hurting you. Later in the game when you have more energy, the pops get bigger. But it's also nice to have a barrier attacker and a guy who's critical. Next, Scientist Fu. That's a card that I just feel like at this point is almost a staple in every deck. There's some decks like Harudagarn that can get away with running 3 because you get the opportunity to pitch it and it might come back later. I would not consider this one of those decks. So I left him at 2. And you see him, you only ever really need Fu once a game in most games. So 2 seems to be fine. Unbreakable Super Saiyan Son Goku. This is another super combo basically. You actually have to pay an energy, but still, it's 10k pump lets you draw a card. And you untap your energy when you swing with your leader anyway, so that energy will be ready. Raging Spirit Son Gohan, great defensive card. A flute target as well, so you get a free body on board, swing with him, and then flute him back to your hand, and you draw a card, and now you have that defensive piece back again. Yes, Champa, but not Champa. But in all seriousness, it doesn't really matter if it's this guy or Champa. They're the same card, and you're not really running red. If I was running more red, then I would definitely pick this guy over Champa, just because he's a 2-drop 15k, which offensively is exactly the same as a 16k. So you're like, if you have to play him, maybe you're going for the last swing. He's 1 less energy than Champa. But again, in this deck, it doesn't really matter too much because there's no red, and it's just, it's a nice little surprise to have. Maybe you summon the Vegeta and you can go for game, but you're not at 5, so you can't get the triple strike. And it's a surprise factor. A lot of people don't see Champa coming in.
Sideboard.
Yes, sideboard. Haru Haru is great card against green and yellow leaders. You know, one of the main decks that I sided it in for was Cell Chain, because it lets you extend your plays a little bit, and it's basically a free critical body. This also works well against the Jackie Chun decks because he's yellow. But it's a card that you would really, you know, obviously you only side it in against yellow and green, but against those leaders it really helps. And then we got 2 more coercions. That's mainly so if you're going against decks like aggro, for example, you can actually sub out the 2 Mafubas in the main board and just have 4 coercions. Because, you know, against those decks there's not a lot of big threats, so Mafuba doesn't really help too much. All you really need is the 1 drop. Mira, Creator Absorbed. Huge attacker when you want him. You know, he works great with the Champa that's in the deck. And that's a guy where if you feel like you have enough draw power against the deck you're going against, but you really need that guy that you know for sure is just going to be a guaranteed hit, you can sub him in for Fu. You know, probably you would do it against the more defensive matchups. But, you know, it depends on what you're going against. And then the Dragon Feast. This guy is great against the slower matchups. You know, he's a 6-drop, so you can't really play him against every deck. Most of the time, I would end up getting to 5 energy and not charging anymore. A lot of the time, that was due to hand destruction. But you know, like for example, if you're going against the Mirror, not the Harudagarn version, but actual Mirror, you know, this is great for big swings. You untap more mana. You know, and between him and your leader swing, you're basically playing him for 2 mana. And he's a double striker, barrier, and you know, if you go against anything blue-green where there's a lot of barrier, you just bounce the barrier guys.
Closest thing of SS3 you'll see.
Yes. At least he's still blue. So then here we got the Mass Saiyan, the Mysterious Warrior, expansion card. He's fantastic now that Flute got limited, because a lot of those decks that rely on the Gotens for draw power, now they don't get to just flute them back and defend them. You know, they're actually staying on board. So unless you're going against, you know, a Bloodlust deck, this is the perfect answer to all of that. It's also a great answer to the Announcer deck. The Announcer deck plays a lot of 1-drops. You know, I believe it's 8 1-drop negates alone. One of them which draws you 3 cards when you play it, which is insane.
Maybe.
But, you know, it's a lot of 1-drops that get on board, and they almost use that as an extension of their hand. With this, you get to wipe 5 of those 1-drops off the board. Or if there's bigger threats, you can take some of the 1-drops and the bigger threats. Then we have the lone Mafuba in the sideboard. You know, this is pretty much just there in case I went up against a deck like that blue deck I mentioned earlier. You know, I thankfully didn't have the misfortune of going against that deck, but you know, that's the kind of deck I would side this in against. It's a combo deck, and you know, it also works really great for Vegito. And that's another reason why I have 2 in the main board, is just, you know, if you Mafuba Vegito, you basically take away everything that he is. And then the turn that it comes off, he comes in inactive, so even if you want to, you can remove him because he doesn't have barrier. And then Dimensional Banisher Fu to round out the starter deck, side deck. This guy is, you know, a starter deck staple. It's basically for any guy that's just huge and you have no other real way to deal with him. That's probably another card I would side in against combo decks. You know, you definitely side it in against Cell Chain, because that's how you get rid of the cell. But in that matchup, I probably wouldn't side out the Fu, just because, you know, Fu is a great comeback from draw, or the Scientist Fu, just because he's a great comeback from Cell Chain. But that is a great way to get rid of the 7-drop cell once they brought it out, in addition to other big threats that don't have barrier.
Fantastic job once again, finishing in the top 8 once again here. Pro Play Games local Matt Bovarnik taking the new SS3 starter coup to a great finish. Thank you again for the deck profile, really appreciate it. Hope to see you in Atlanta and Orlando, and eventually at the National Championship. Can't wait to see you play Boo, hopefully. I know that's your favorite deck.
been waiting for him to be meta since I started playing the game.
And I know, by the way, for that deck profile, that was piloted by one of our own, Andrew Duvall, that can be found on the Patreon exclusively. It's a nasty deck. It beat me, it beat Peter, it beat Marcel, it beat you, it beat everyone. It ran its course through this tournament. But Starter Coup, something that people are gonna have to learn to play or pick back up if they didn't play it when it was meta. Now that SS3 is banned, one of the only leaders that can actually cheat some energy, and that's we've seen how powerful that can be in this metagame and in this game in general. So
Incredibly powerful.
thank you again for the deck profile. Hope to see you at Nationals. Hope to see you at the next Regionals. I know you'll do well. You have a fantastic team surrounding you. So till next time, peace.
Till next time. Looking forward to it.